So the shop I worked at, they called them Jimmy's people, because I did a lot of the walk-ins. So anyone kind of crazy that came in, they'd pass them on to me, but I didn't mind, One guy came in, and he was intense. He was like super intense, and he had some weird pattern on his arm. And he was like, I want my girlfriend's name tattooed on my arm, but I want you to do the first letter however you want to do it. Like, just the first letter has to, and then the rest can just be like a child's writing. And I was like, okay, I can do the whole thing, like, really fancy, we can do this. And he was like, I chose you. I feel the connection kind of thing. Like, he's really intense, like, for sure on steroids. He just looked like a regular gym guy. Like, he's definitely on steroids. He's very strong, like, bald head. I was like, dude, he's going to love tribal. He's going to love tribal. He's got to love tribal, like. And I was like, okay. So basically, I've got this, and I have a little piece of paper. I'm like, this Tribal S, hear me out. Like, this is my reasoning. We can build on it. We can make it into a sleeve, and you can fit the name however you want around it. He takes it, and he's like staring at it. It's intense. Like, the desk guy's behind me, and I can see him looking at me, and he's like, because we all know this guy could kill us all. He's looking at it, and he's like, and then all of a sudden he just slams it on the thing. He's like, Des! He starts freaking out. He's like, this is what you're trying to give me. And I'm like, yo, but listen to me. Let me put it on. We can build on it. I'm not saying this is the final product, but, let's start here. It's just a name. He picks up the design that he's thrown on the floor, and he starts smashing it into his own face. He's going, come on, Jimmy, come on. And I'm like, dude, I can't help you, man. Like, I can't help you. I'm sorry. And he's like, do I get my deposit back? And I'm like, definitely wasn't the right thing to say, but I said no. Because I was like, dude, like, no. Like, you've just punched yourself in the face in front of me. Like, no, like, just leave. And everyone in the shop, as soon as I said no, to giving his deposit back, everyone was just like, Jimmy's going to die. Like, they were like, we thought that was the moment you were gone. Our principal was like, I need the 50 quid. Like, so he leaves. Like, he just storms out. And then about 10 minutes later, he comes back in, and he's like, I've considered my actions, and I feel like the way I reacted was slightly out of line. And I just want to say sorry. And I would like the Tribal S. And I was just like, dude, I can't do it. I'm sorry. It's not happening. And he just shook my hand, and he went, you're a good man, Jimmy, and left. I started working the desk. My very first day on the desk, a gypsy calls up. I don't know if you have them in America. They're like travelers. He calls the shop. He's like, can me and my son come and get a tattoo? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Like, we have space. What do you want? He's like, we just want boxing gloves. I'm like, yeah, you will tattoo you and your son. We don't, it's fine. Both of you come down. We got space for both of you. And he's like, okay, you sure you can tattoo me? I mean, yeah, dude, just calm down. Like, we'll do it. He gets to the shop, and his son is like a 13-year-old kid with he's obviously a boxer, like a bare knuckle boxer. And he's a 13-year-old kid with a black eye. And his dad's this fucking big guy. And I'm like, he's like, cool. He's like, yeah, I called up earlier. Like, me and my son come to get tattooed. I'm like, yeah, cool. Just take a seat. Like, I'll grab the guy who's going to tattoo you. He comes over. He's like, yeah, we want these boxing gloves, and he kind of like just assumed that just the dad was getting them now. He's like, because the dad kept going, I just want these boxing gloves here. So he's like, cool. He's like, yeah, you want these? He's like, oh, did you say your son was getting tattooed as well? Like, where is he? And he's like, oh, this is my son. To the 13-year-old, like, the kid looks young. He's like, definitely like just turned 12, 13. He's like, oh, yeah, we can't tattoo him, like, unless he has ID. No, like, he looks young. Like, he's like, oh, then the gypsy guy just switches. He's like, well, you've been lying to me. And he's a big, he's a big guy. And I'm like, I mean, like, I haven't lied to anyone. Like, I think you've been lying to me because, this kid's clearly not 18. And he's like, you know, it goes back and forth like that anyway. He's like, well, you told me my son could get tired. Eventually it gets heated. I can't, like, you know, it gets heated, and he's like, well, someone needs to pay me for the petrol I spent to get here. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen, dude. Like, we're not paying you back. Like, you know the law, like, this, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, you better start, someone better give me the fucking petrol, or I'm going to smash the shop up. And I'm like, this is my first ever customer in a tattoo shop. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going to smash the shop up. Like, you're going to have to leave now. Yeah, I'm still trying, it's heated, but I'm still trying to play it like a little bit professional, you know, trying to look good. So I go downstairs to the boss. I'm like, yo, I think I'm going to have to fight someone. Like, well, I think we're going to have to fight someone because I can't fight this guy on my own. Like, he won't leave. He's threatening to smash the shop up. Like, you know, like, do you want to come deal with this with me? And he's like, have you told him to fuck off? And I'm like, not exactly. Like, you know, I'm trying to make a good impression. He's like, listen, upstairs in the drawer, there's a hammer. Just tell him to fuck off. If he doesn't fuck off, get the hammer. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I would have done that like an hour ago. Like, cool. First day on the job, I have to fucking pull a hammer on this guy.